What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative podcast, sponsored by the New York State Office of Mental Health. I am one of your co-hosts, Sherman Webb Middlebrooks, the lifelong Buffalo resident and full-time black man. And as always, I'm joined by my player partners on the couch over there, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves as usual.
What's going on, family? Antoine Johnson, Program Manager at Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative, and I got my co-pilot as always.
My guy, Daniel Robertson, Say Yes Buffalo, Director of our Boys and Men of Color Initiative at Say Yes.
And we have a guest here, as always, with us here on the podcast for another great conversation. I'm gonna go ahead and let the brother Chad introduce himself, his affiliations, however he so chooses. Go ahead, bro.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Chad Williams. I'm the founder of Due Process, co-founder of Buffalo Fashion Runway, Buffalo Fashion House. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, moved up to Buffalo in 2016 to attend Buffalo State College. Graduated in 2020 with a degree in economics. Got a job after I graduated, and Buffalo kept me. Happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
No doubt.
Word, I like that phrase.
Don't forget the Oshai. You got to throw that in there. There's three of us in the room.
Yeah, go cohort 5. Big cohort 5 in the building.
Look left, baby. Look left.
All the time.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was fun. At first, I'm like, man, we got to be a whole week. Then we got to stay overnight and Beaver Hollow. I'm like, I want to go home. But then, it made the experience better. Staying, over and so forth. I think they help with us, bonding and so forth. That shared
experience.
Yeah, exactly. We all were kind of in it together. Chad, so we're doing a couple things, and so glad to have you on the podcast. But can you talk a little bit more about Due Process, like how you came up with all that?
Yeah, of course. So Due Process is a streetwear clothing brand that advocates for social justice, not only through the designs, but a mission as well. Has a mission of donating 50% of every sale to various organizations that advocate for social justice. And then the name is a play on the legal term, which refers to fair treatment through the system, especially as a citizen's entitlement, something that I didn't receive and many others don't receive.
Right.
So my junior year of college, I was wrongfully arrested. I had to fight for almost a year to clear my name. And then throughout that year, I like to say I witnessed all of the injustices in the justice system, from a judge who looked at me as guilty before innocent to a public defender who not want to give me the time of day. But after I was able to clear my name, I wanted to do something to share my story and then the stories of others who were wronged by the system. And that's when I started Due Process, basically a collaboration between my passion for fashion and activism.
That's what's up. Yo, so where'd that passion come from for fashion?
Passion for fashion. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in Flatbush. And it was just like it was a competition every time you went to school. Right. It was a competition every time you went to school, what you had on. We had a uniform. It was like a strict uniform code, but it didn't matter. It did not matter at all. I was throwing on the polo shirt, the Dickie suit, whatever. It didn't matter. I was putting it on just to compete with my fellow classmates at the time. So that's where it was born.
That's a real honest answer. I'm glad that you just kept it a buck. You just kept it a buck. All right, so where does the passion, obviously your story, but outside of your story, your personal story that you experienced, what other experiences have you gone through that feeds that passion for activism?
Well, I guess it was instilled / born in me since birth, since I am a black man, right? Just like the odds that we're faced as soon as we come out. So it's definitely instilled with me, but it was definitely brought to the forefront myself when that situation had happened. Yeah. Because I was a full-time college student. I was working a job. I was doing everything right. At least I thought I was doing everything right. And for that situation to happen to me, I know it could happen to anyone.
So what was the moment like when you connected your experience with your passion? And it sounds like it's sort of led to like your purpose. So what was that experience like for you? How did you come to recognize like this is what I should be doing?
Oh, and yeah, it was definitely enlightening because I always wanted to start a clothing brand. So when that situation had happened, I was still in school, and then I was I lived off campus at the time. So I was just thinking of different names of what I could name this clothing brand. And then I saw the term Due Process. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, oh, shoot. I knew what it meant, but I looked up the exact definition of it so I could really know what it meant.
Yeah.
And that's when everything came about. The light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, boom, I'm going to do it like this. Like, I'm going to do the fashion side of which I love, and I'm combining with the activism side of just to talk about the story of what happened to me. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the collaboration between the both of it was just amazing. Because, like, more times than not, people don't do things that they love in this world. in their life. So the fact that I was able to find this and bring them together, it was beautiful.
Appreciate that.
Speaking of doing things that you love, you recently went full time, like
Yes.
right with your business, right?
Yes, sir. So yeah, as of November, late November of last year. So I'll bring it back to this. So 2020 is when I graduated college. I got a job as soon as I graduated college, and I've been working there until 2023 of November last year. And as an entrepreneur, you always know you have to take that step of being a full-time entrepreneur to work on your passions and give it your full devotion. But I never wanted to take that step because I was comfortable. I was comfortable getting a check every 2 weeks, right? So I never wanted to take that step. But me just being the type of person that I am, I work better with my back against the wall. So I decided, and I transitioned out of my job last year, and we built up some momentum with Due Process as well as Buffalo Fashion Runway, Buffalo Fashion House. And I thought it'd be best to take this year and just work full-time on my passions.
All right. Yo, so what made you choose Buffalo? Like, and I went to UB, so I got a little love for y'all Buff State folk.
Right.
But met a lot of folk that have, come to Buffalo from Brooklyn or the Bronx. Those like the two boroughs I've loved the most while I was at UB. What made you decide to come to Buffalo?
You want the real answer or the political answer?
Both.
Both? Nah, I just got the real. So I wrestled in high school, and I was a good wrestler, right? And I went to go to college to wrestle, but my senior year in high school, I injured my shoulder, so that kind of dropped everything. So I applied to one school only, Albany. I applied to Albany. I got accepted into the EOP program, but they needed a bunch of tax documents and stuff like that, which my mom didn't have at the time, and we had to apply for it. So by the time she got everything, it was too late to get into the EOP program. And then by faith, by God, I seen Buffalo State. I seen it somewhere. It was like an ad. They said next day admissions or something like that. And I applied for Buff State. I got accepted. And that's all she wrote. And I love every part of my life since it happened.
Right.
You said why I chose Buffalo?
And why you chose, and now it's like, why you still here? Yeah.
I'm still here? Because y'all love me. That's why. But no, I actually stayed because I got the job. But when I graduated, all of my friends and stuff, like, they either left, right, or they were still in school or something, but most people left. So I joined the Buffalo Urban League of Young Professionals, and I was able to, find my tribe. I was able to find and connect with people that look like me in the professional world. And just like my brand, it started here, right? It started from a tragedy that occurred there. So I wanted to, when it becomes a triumph, it is a triumph, I wanted to occur here as well. So that's why I picked and stayed in Buffalo.
That's dope. I appreciate that.
Man, damn, you make it sound like it's a bad thing, man.
No, Buffalo's a great thing, but people be trying to knock Buffalo.
They do. I don't like that,
It's
bro.
the town, baby.
I really
You know
don't
what
like
I'm saying?
that. I'm with you on that, bro.
You said something that was that kind of caught my ear, Chad. You talked about you realized that you would. I'm paraphrasing, but you would thrive only when your back was against the wall, so to speak. And I think that so many times I'm not an entrepreneur, not on your level, but I feel like I have an entrepreneurial mindset. And so with that being said, I'm really interested in those who run their own businesses and things of that nature. And so I realize at a certain point, sometimes people can only, like you said, take that leap when there's no safety net, right? Like when you got a nice job, good, you got a good pension when you retire, or you got good benefit. Like it could be hard because we get too comfortable, right? And whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you probably can relate in different ways. But I think in life, sometimes we become so comfortable with our situation and we don't want to take the leap because we're afraid of failing. Our last guest talked about how not his father, but how he wants to instill in his daughter this freedom to fail. Whatever he's talking about, Kobe, right?
Kobe, yep.
And so I just thought about that as it relates to what you were thinking, but I think that's so needed, especially as men and fathers, right? I know you're not there yet, but just having this understanding that we at a certain point we have to instill in our kids that although we're gonna be here, we want them to be comfortable with taking a step, right? And failing. I think, was it you? I don't know if it was you or Pastor Tommy Sherm that talked about
I'm getting confused with PT. God is good.
Yeah, like cause he shared.
That's never a bad thing.
Right.
No, it's not a bad thing.
That's great.
It's not a bad thing. But he was talking about, either you or him, talking about like this whole idea around a safety net and how like his son was gonna do something, and he was like, yeah, like I realized I couldn't do it because like I know you're gonna be here for that, you know, for me or something to that effect. But then I remember you said something as it relates to using an analogy when your daughter was like playing a game with you, and it's like she would like jump off something.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. You can describe.
Yeah, when I was putting her on top of the refrigerator and telling her to jump off, and she was looking scared, and she like had this look of fear in her eyes, and I'm like, what you afraid for? I'm right here. I'm gonna catch you, and like she still was afraid to like jump, and I'm like, I got you. Like trust me. Like it's okay. Like jump. And then like I could see she probably was like 2 or 3 at a time, and she like took that deep breath. She like jumped, and then when I caught her, like the feeling of like when I caught her, I felt her like relax. So now we chest to chest, and I just felt her kind of relax into my arms, and I was like, oh, she was really afraid, and I really created an environment where she felt safe to jump, and like that's what I want to duplicate for her throughout life. Yeah, creating that environment. Like when you see me, as long as you see this face, you safe to jump. Take your leap. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, safe to jump.
And then to add to that too, I would say like it took me a while to transition out, right? Like I graduated 2020. I didn't leave the job until the end of 2023. Well, I didn't transition out of the job until the end of 2023. So to take that leap of faith, I guess it came from just I feel like I built up a good network for myself in Buffalo, right? And that if I wanted another job, I could always go back and get another job. Like it's always there. Yeah. But it's really I guess a time frame on when you can follow your passions.
Yeah, that's smart.
If I'm being honest, I should probably just went full-time 2020. Like due process would have already been through the moon. But I'm definitely looking forward to this year, and then I also got a great group of people, my team with Buffalo Fashion Runway, Buffalo Fashion House, and they're definitely a big reason why I feel comfortable going into this next year being an entrepreneur. Because with due process, I was just doing it by myself. Yeah. Right. So if I failed, I just had to rely on myself. But now I got 4 other brothers that we can all hold each other up as like crutches. So if I mess up on something, then somebody else can handle something. If they mess up on something, I can handle something. They can handle it. Somebody else can handle it, you know? So I definitely would recommend, if I'm giving any tips, don't do it alone. Right. Find a great group of people to follow your dreams and passions with, where you guys could all work on it together and like just like bounce ideas off each other. It definitely helps.
That's so important, man. There's this quote I love by John Maxwell. He says, nobody does anything great alone. I remember starting out even with the fatherhood piece and, you know, being connected to people like Pastor Tommy or Eric and Sherman and Terry and Mike. And, you know, I thank God for his grace. But I know that it was part of that came with the people in my circle, right? Like, you know, you have a way of communicating like none other, right? And just the different things that the guys do, like, you know, our team does, like has allowed us to grow and thrive, even being connected with you, Daniel. And so, no, I definitely get that whole team part. You talked about the Buffalo Fashion Runway. You guys have a couple things going on. Can you talk about?
Yeah, definitely. So Buffalo Fashion Runway basically came together in, our first event came together in September of last year. Yeah, Buffalo Fashion Runway, Confluence of the Arts. It was held at 500 Seneca Street, and we planned this event in maybe 2.5 months. We planned this event. It was a celebration of the arts. It was called the Confluence of the Arts. So we had fashion designers, we had poets, we had music artists. We had everybody in the building. We had 300 plus people in the building that day to witness and celebrate local designers, everybody to Buffalo. So what we're planning on doing an upcoming event, Buffalo Fashion Runway, Black Carpet, it'll be a celebration of diversity through the arts. So it'll be in February, on the 24th of February. It'll be held at the Northland Workforce Training Center. We'll have an event in conclusion in collaboration with you guys, right, on the 16th of February at the Buffalo AKG Museum.
What times are both the events? Yeah,
so the event on the 16th, the pre-mixer event, which is a fundraiser for the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative, that will be held from 5 p.m. through 7:30 p.m. Okay. And the event with the fashion show, that will be held on the 24th, and that will go on from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And that's at Northland?
Yep, that's in Northland.
I gotta make sure I get a ticket for that one. I don't.
I mean, you good, man. It's on the house.
It's on the house.
Yeah,
we got you recorded. You know that, right?
no, for sure.
So-
Me to it.
So you brought something up, and I'm friends with a lot of artists, and in some areas I consider myself an artist, right?
Right.
And one of the big homies, Idris, him and his wife Alexa, they have like their brand called Eat Off Art. And I love that. And when I'm working with young people, shout out to them. And when I'm working with young people, I find myself like being the cranky old man sometimes. And when they're sharing some of their dreams with me, I'm like, so how you gonna eat off of that though? Like, what you gonna eat? I love your dream, but how you gonna monetize it? So like, what would you say to the young people who are dealing with cranky old people who are like, how you gonna eat off your art? How do people eat off? How are people eating off of their art? And what can a young person look to as an avenue to one day be in the position that you are?
I definitely say just keep following your dreams to prove them wrong. So to add to the part, so Iman Wajed is actually the son of Idris and Alexa. He's actually a partner on Buffalo Fashion.
Awesome.
It's an amazing thing. Shout out to the whole team, matter of fact. But to prove them wrong. So I'll give you guys an example, for instance, right? Like Kane, creative genius. He's a part of the team as well. He's a genius in all realms, right? Some of his family members, they didn't see him following his they didn't see like his what he thought he could do with the arts, right? But now that since we got together, we've been getting the support of prominent organizations like the Buffalo AKG Museum, the Virtual Penne. Not more than 2 days ago, we were shooting in the Bill Stadium in partnership with them, right? So like just from him following his dream, it paid off for him. And now that they see all these prominent organizations backing him, they're like, wow, okay, he wasn't crazy.
Right.
And I'll bring it back to this, too. Like, I used to love playing video games when I was younger. My mom, she hated it. She would always take the video game, she would hide it, all types of things, right? But I was a great video game player. And now people are making millions of dollars off of playing video games. So I think the old cranky people should stay cranky to themselves and let the young person follow their dreams and follow their passions and what they're doing.
Speaking of, what did you say? I'm sorry. Is this
Eat Off Art.
Yes, they designed this logo for us.
Shout out to Idris. Idris, you did a great job on that design, man.
We appreciate it. It's gonna be around for some time too. It's gonna keep it rocking. But yeah, man, that's so encouraging though to hear.
Stay consistent, young people. Stay consistent. That's what the brother just said.
Stay consistent. Find a good group of people to stay consistent with, because it'll be your crutches. You're gonna be all right, man. Just follow your dreams for real.
Anything else y'all want to add? Anything else you want to ask the brother? Because I know I got a bunch of questions, but, I don't want to monopolize the time.
No, that's all good. I think this might be a good place to land the plane. And one of the things that we haven't touched on anything related to fatherhood. There is this quote. It's like inside every boy is a potential to be a father. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but because we carry the seed, right? Like at any point in time, like a kid who is a man who is mature, who is mature can produce a child, right? So as we think about like fatherhood, what's one of the things that, even tying in your entrepreneurial spirit, what's one of the things when you become a father that you want to impart to your children or your child? Yeah,
so like you referenced earlier, I'm not a father yet, but I definitely want to be a father of 10.
Of 10? Oh,
not 10, but I do want
y'all
a
hear
lot
that,
of kids.
sisters?
I do want a lot of kids. So I grew up in a real close-knit, tight family, so I want my kids to grow up in that same sort of family. Like I had a few brothers. I had a lot of brothers and sisters. One of my older brothers, he's 26. I'm 25. I got a sister who's 24. Then I got other brothers and sisters. So like we all grew up close together.
Okay.
My aunt, she had kids in the same age as us, like 3, and they all grew up close together, and we grew up close together with them. So I just want to be something to instill in my kids is like family is number one. Stay close with your family, because everything that I do for me, I do it for my family. Right. As successful as I want to be, they'll be as successful as me.
That's huge, man. Especially in this day and age when we're so individualistic. Everything is like me, right? So to hear you say that you do it for your family is really admirable.
No, definitely. That's number one. One of my biggest regrets from the first show, I didn't invite my family. Yeah, like that was bad. Like, I don't know why I didn't invite them. I think it was maybe because like I was shy or something like that.
Yeah, just shy. Maybe you had a lot of things going on. So that's the one thing that I've learned, like, as I continue to grow into like a full grown man. 'Cause I'm still a young man. I'm gonna hold on to that young part for as long as I can. But like when I reflect on those moments, I'm like, oh, that's part of my journey as a man. So I think at certain stages we're going through the time where like we're figuring things out, right? And so like then once we get older, we're gonna be older and wise, and so it's gonna be a difference in like the mindset of like figuring out what do I do, how do I do this right, and then showing up to something and knowing exactly how to do it and exactly how to do it right, and then being able to provide like counsel to other people who are coming up after you. So stuff like that, bro, is all part of like your journey and your story. You know what I'm saying? Like, and your growth as a man, because now you know, and now that's something that like you can be more intentional about.
100%. Because like with this next event, Brooklyn gonna be in the house. Like I invited everybody. Everybody got to come. Everybody got to check it out. Make sure to send them and let them know ahead of time so that they could plan to be there as well. Because from the first event, the team, Iman, Kane, and Rod, they all had their families there, and I seen that bond, and it was beautiful. I had my Buffalo family there, of course, too, so I wasn't like alone. But to see that bond with their family members, it was just beautiful, and I can't wait to have that moment on the 24th of February.
Word, that's the 24th of February. That event is going to be held at the Northland Training Center. The other event on February 16th, that's going to be held at the Buffalo AKG, right?
Yes, sir. It's going to be a dope event, too. So that's going to be at the AKG in collaboration with their learning and creativity program. We're going to have a mini fashion show throughout the course of that event, and all of the items featured in the fashion show will be auctioned off. And all proceeds from that auction will go towards the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative. Wow. And we'll also have like gift baskets of different amazing things. So be there.
One last thing before we get out of here. Where can they buy and support Due Process? Like where can they shop and support?
For sure. So website is www.dooprocess.org. We're on Instagram at dooprocess. Check out the Buffalo Fashion Runway page as well as Buffalo Fashion Runway on Instagram. Stay tuned. We got some big updates coming, man.
Word. Appreciate that. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Once again, this has been the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative podcast, sponsored by the New York State Office of Mental Health. For my brother Daniel Robertson, the good brother Antoine Johnson, my man Chad, I'm Sherman Webb Middlebrooks, lifelong Buffalo resident, full-time black man. Peace.